So I'm going to make a for loop on the place that most of code is going to be affected. I'm talking about this part of my code. Inside of it, I'm moving the enemy car and I am checking whether it collides with the player. So I'm going to make for here, and I want it to be executed for enemy car index, which is a variable that I still don't have, starting from 0. Increasing while it's smaller than... Well, I can continue writing 3, but do I have a variable that is better for this position, for this place? Do I have a variable that knows the number of enemy cars? Of course, this is enemy count. So, enemy car index should increase by 1 on each step. And this is the variable that I should use. For example, here and here and here to specify which car I am checking whether it collides and which car I am moving. Let's try to fit this line on one line, or perhaps I will again. I wasn't able to do it nicely. I don't know which is the best way to show you my code. Perhaps some of you are going to be okay if I reduce the font size, but I'm not okay with this. And I'm not okay to also fit my code without formatting it correctly. So I'm going to format everything fine. And I'm going to put this to the right so I can easily understand that this is one if. And this is the code inside of the if. So now that I've done all of this, perhaps this code is not going to be executed for a specific car, but for all of them, starting from car 0 up to the number of cars that we have. Let's see whether this is working. Well, I can see all of the cars moving, and I can hit the car with index 1. You know that this is the car that is so much high that I can hit it. Of course, I hope you've added a piece of code for moving up and down, so that I can avoid cars such as this one. Another thing that you should do that will not let me hit a car like this always, if we is to change these specific initial values to values that are random and created in a for loop. I skipped one step that is important. Sorry, I'm now creating enemy car index here. So I was going to tell you that you can use it for other loops, like the loop that you need here. You're going to have to place for here. That is going to count to create few initial cars. As you know, we can add new cars as the time passes, so that our game becomes harder and harder. And another really important place in our code for a for loop is here. So use enemy car index for such tasks. And instead, I'm going to do something more interesting now, if you are okay with this. I'm going to create a variable called my car image. Are you ready for epic new abilities? Are you ready to make not so ugly games? I already showed you a game with interesting images. So this is a thing that I think we're smart enough now and we know enough programming to implement. So we are going to need a specific variable that is not going to have an array value, that is not going to have a boolean value, that is not going to have an integer value. It's going to be an image, and the way to specify this is to write equal sign and then new image like this. So this is definitely something that you should add to your piece of paper with all our knowledge. It's too early to use our image because we haven't specified which file to use. Well, I'm going to go to the folder with all our files and there is no image here. So I'm going to draw one. I press the right mouse button and I'm going to select new bitmap image. I hope to open Paint now. I'm going to call it playercar.bmp and I'm going to edit it, and luckily Paint is the program that opened. Of course you can use much better programs to edit images, but Paint is fine enough for a programmer to draw something. And the thing that I'm going to draw is, well, a really ugly car. Like this. Perhaps I'm going to zoom it. I'm going to draw lights from our car. For example, with the pen. Like this, perhaps. I'm going to make blue windows like this, perhaps. One in the front and one in the back. And on top of the car, I can draw perhaps, I don't know, something red. And I will also add the black tires, like this. Here and here, perhaps. Actually, my car isn't so ugly. Well, you will be able to draw much uglier car for the enemies. I don't know if this is fine, but yeah, for a programmer, it's really fine. So you can see that there is a new file, and if I click it, I can see it's a small car. And the new line that I need to do so that the variable has anything to do with this picture is to say what its source is going to be. This is only working for image variables, so I'm going to write my car image source to be equal to, and here I should be really perfect when pasting the name of the file with its extension. Perhaps your computer might hide the extensions of the files. This is an option in the Windows and the other operating systems. You should definitely not hide the extensions of the files, and you should use the full name of the file. You can see it on other places too, like here. So I'm going to write playercar here, playercar.bmp here, and you can see that nothing changes. My player is still a really ugly blue square. That's because when I'm drawing it, I'm still using context fill rect with the old boring 4 parameters. Well, if I try to use a 5th parameter, I'm going to only have mistakes because actually even I don't even have mistakes. It's just that the player is not drawn at all because FillRect is not the function to draw images. Instead, draw image is the function that requires 5 parameters, and they're the same 4 parameters that we used to draw a rectangle, but our new image variable should be in the beginning. So let's see what is going on now. Whoa! Really ugly. This is really scary. Are you scared too? We have images in our game. Do you understand everything we can accomplish now? All of the ugly games that had only rectangles from different colors can now become really beautiful, shiny, and with a lot of programmer drawn images, which actually it's not going to be really beautiful. Well, yes, you draw horribly, I know. So you can use Google to search for images of cars or cars viewed from above. And you can use such images in case they are free, or in case you're only going to use your game for yourself and not publish it on the internet. So draw your image or take one from the internet for the enemy cars tool. You can have the enemy car image used not in all those 3 copy and pasted FillRects or draw images, but instead in the only one final that is going to be inside of a for loop. This is your simple task now. Of course, the more interesting task is please use image, at least for the player, just like I did. Or, if you want, for the enemies to create enemy car image and use a picture from a file for the enemy cars. Good luck!